There is a signal, so faint, that by the time it reaches Earth, it carries less energy than a whisper across the entire planet. And yet, we still hear it. It comes from a machine that should no longer exist. A machine that was never designed to survive this long. A machine drifting alone in the darkest part of space. Voyager 1. Launched in 1977, it was built for a simple mission. Visit Jupiter. Visit Saturn. Send back images. And then, go silent. No one expected it to last decades. No one expected it to leave the solar system. And no one expected it to still be talking to us today. But it is. Still moving. Still transmitting. Still carrying a piece of humanity farther than anything we have ever created. Back then, its technology was already limited. Its memory was tiny. Its systems were simple. It had no artificial intelligence. No advanced software. Nothing that could adapt or evolve. And yet, it survived. It passed Jupiter, where it witnessed storms larger than entire planets. Lightning more powerful than anything on Earth. A world of chaos and energy that pushed its instruments to the limit. Then came Saturn. A final destination. A turning point. As Voyager passed the ringed planet, something changed forever. Its path bent outward, away from the sun, away from everything familiar. That was the moment Voyager stopped being a planetary mission, and became something else. A traveler. A silent messenger, heading into the unknown. As it moved farther away, the sun began to lose its grip. The solar wind weakened. The warmth faded. The light dimmed. Voyager was approaching the edge of a boundary we could not see, but knew existed. A massive bubble created by the sun. A protective shield surrounding our entire solar system. And then, it reached the edge. The particles change. The magnetic field shifted. The environment became unstable. And slowly, Voyager crossed it. For the first time in human history, something we built had entered interstellar space. A place we once believed was empty. But it wasn't. Out there, the darkness is filled with motion. With energy. With invisible forces moving through space like currents in an ocean. Cosmic rays from distant explosions. Magnetic waves stretching across the galaxy. Particles traveling at unimaginable speeds. And inside that chaos, Voyager began detecting something unexpected. Patterns. Not clear signals. Not messages. But repeating structures. Rhythms. At first, scientists assumed it was natural. Space is complex. Unpredictable. Full of phenomena we are still trying to understand. But these patterns were different. They weren't completely random. They appeared, then disappeared. They shifted, then returned. They repeated in ways that felt almost organized. Voyager's instruments recorded plasma waves, vibrations in charged particles that fill space. When converted into sound, they produced something eerie. A deep, low hum. Constant, but not steady. Sometimes rising. Sometimes falling. Sometimes changing suddenly without any clear cause. It was as if space itself was breathing. For years, this hum continued. Quiet. Unexplained. Ignored by most, but never fully understood. Meanwhile, Voyager kept sending data. Every signal traveling billions of kilometers, taking nearly a full day to reach Earth. By the time it arrives, it is incredibly weak. Barely detectable. And yet, we listen. Giant antennas on Earth capture that signal, amplify it, decode it, and turn it into information. Information about a place no human has ever seen. Temperature, radiation, magnetic fields, and sometimes small anomalies. Tiny irregularities that don't fit perfectly into our models. Not strong enough to prove anything extraordinary, but not simple enough to ignore. And that's where the real mystery begins. Because science doesn't fear the impossible. It fears the unexplained. Voyager is not detecting aliens. It is not receiving messages from another civilization. But it is showing us something equally important. That the universe is not simple. That even in the emptiness between stars, there is structure. There is motion. There is complex things that behave in ways we didn't predict. Things that challenge everything we thought we understood. Out there, beyond the last whisper of the sun, rules begin to blur. Patterns emerge where randomness should exist. And silence is never truly silent. Voyager 1 has been drifting through that silence for decades. Alone. Further than any human creation has ever gone. Further than we ever truly planned. And now, it is slowly fading. Its power source weakens every single year. A small, steady loss that cannot be stopped. Engineers on Earth make difficult decisions. One instrument turned off, then another, and another. Each shutdown is like losing a sense. First, the ability to measure certain particles. Then, the ability to read certain waves. Then, pieces of its awareness disappearing one by one. Not because we want it to end, but because we want it to last just a little longer. To keep that signal alive, for as long as possible. Because that signal is everything. A faint transmission, traveling across billions of kilometers. Crossing a distance so vast, that even light takes nearly a full day to make the journey. And when it arrives, it is barely there. A whisper in the cosmic noise. But we still hear it. We listen through massive antennas, waiting, decoding, holding on to every bit of data it sends. Because one day, that signal will stop. Not dramatically. Not with an explosion. Not with a final message. There will be no warning. Just silence. A transmission that has lasted nearly half a century will simply fade into nothing. Gone. Forever. And in that moment, humanity will lose its most distant voice. A voice that carried our curiosity, our questions, our desire to explore beyond everything we know. But even when Voyager goes silent, its journey will not end. It will keep moving. Drifting through interstellar space, untouched, unheard, unseen. For thousands of years, then millions, passing distant stars, wandering through the galaxy, a silent traveler, with no destination, and no way home. And attached to its side, is something extraordinary. A small, golden disk. The Voyager Golden Record. A message from Earth. Carefully created. Carefully chosen. Inside it, are the sounds of our world. Waves crashing against shores. Wind moving through trees. The laughter of people. Voices speaking in different languages. Music from across cultures, across time. Images of life. Of humanity. Of who we were, and what we became. It is not just a record. It is a time capsule. A story. A quiet attempt to say, we were here. We existed. We reached out. And maybe, one day, far in the future, long after Earth has changed, long after we are gone, something, somewhere, will find it. Not because Voyager was searching for anything. Not because it sent a signal expecting a reply. But because it never stopped moving. Never stop carrying that message forward. Through darkness. Through silence. Through the unknown. And if that moment ever comes, if someone, or something, discovers that golden record, they won't just find a machine. They will find a story. A story of a species that looked up at the night sky and refused to stay still. A species that built a fragile machine and sent it farther than anything before it. Not knowing what it would find. Not knowing if it would survive. But sending it anyway. Because curiosity is stronger than fear. Because the unknown is impossible to ignore. And because somewhere deep inside us, we have always wanted to know what lies beyond. Voyager will never come back. It will never report again after its final signal. But its existence, its journey, its message will continue. A silent ambassador, drifting through eternity. Carrying proof that for a brief moment in the history of the universe, there was a world called Earth. A world that wondered. A world that dreamed. A world that reached into the darkness and sent something.